She didn't pray for Panetta's dark demise. She didn't pray for well-muscled angels to rescue her from torment. In despair, she presented herself before the Lord. Her prayers were as diminutive as her famished body. She forgets herself. She prays soundlessly, unself-consciously, with only the movement of her lips and the longing of her heart. Don't forget me, God, she says. Give me a son, and I will give him back to you. Her prayer tells the story of life yearning for itself in God. It is in that moment, when she lays her suffering out before God, that her suffering becomes productive suffering. She finds her voice and finds her place. Even when Eli the priest completely misinterprets her actions, she answers him with courage and with simplicity. When he questions Hannah's integrity, her faith could have evaporated into the mist, but she answers him honestly. I'm deeply troubled. Eli, who is slow to recognize her pure-hearted prayer, can do nothing else but declare her healing. Declare God's reassurance. Go in peace. God grant you what you have asked. Her countenance was no longer sad. She went home and she ate and drank with her husband. She rejoined her family and found her place there. Hannah's healing didn't come with the birth of her much-anticipated son, her beloved Samuel. Her healing did not come in the downfall of her rival wife. Her healing came at the speaking of her soul's desire and at God's hearing of it. At the moment when she gives her suffering to God, she makes room for him to reorganize her. This is a great model for a faithful life. How many times do we embrace tightly our own fearfulness, our own sadness, and our beliefs in our own incapability? These things paralyze and diminish us, even while we think that somehow they protect us. They get in the way of God's purpose for our lives. They swirl around in our heads like a carousel, going around again and again and again, year after year after year. At my house, we call that being in your own head without adult supervision. All this has made me very thoughtful about my response to Katie. Hannah in the biblical story does give birth to Samuel and promises to give him back to God, and she makes good on that promise. She entrusts her beloved, newly weaned boy into God's care. She doesn't hoard him. How willing am I to simply give my child into God's care so that she can fully live out God's purpose for her life? Not very willing sometimes. As last week rolled along, Katie sounded less and less afraid and more confident of herself, more determined to stay. And I began to pray for something different. And I asked you to pray for something different too. I'm now praying for the healing of all those young people in that community, far, far away. I pray that those young thugs, as I call them, in Katie's Mississippi town, who have known so much neglect, so much hunger, so much want, will finally begin to feel God's transformation for them. I have begun to pray that Katie will say her yes to God's purpose in her life, and that I will entrust her back to God, and that God will help me to do that when I don't want to. It's a better prayer, I think. It's a better prayer for all of us.